Hello and welcome to a new video of the Path to DevOps series. If you've been following along so far, you now either have a MySQL database in Azure or a MySQL server running in a Docker container on your local host. Which is great because today I propose we look into the Backend APIs, the CartAPI and ProductAPI, both of which who need the MySQL database to connect to. So, if you want to learn how to compile and configure these applications, let's jump right into business. If you've downloaded the code as I kindly asked you to, and you can find the link to that in the description below, then you will see something like this. Now, for simplicity's sake and in order not to confuse you, I'm going to talk about the two microservices that end in API. These are the Java backends. And the thing is, they're almost identical in terms of file structure and technologies used. Obviously, they do different things, but we're not developers, we're not interested in the code. We are DevOps engineers who need to learn how to properly compile and configure these applications. And in terms of compilation and configuration, they're almost identical. So I'm going to just talk about one of them. And to showcase one of them, I'm going to choose CartAPI. So let's open our IDE. I'm using Visual Studio Code. You can see the open files here on the left. And this is the basic folder structure. Because these are Java backend applications which use the SpringBoot framework and are compiled using Maven, there are two files we need to know about. The first one is the pom.xml, and in this one we have metadata information about the project, right? Like the artifact ID is cart, the version is 1.0 minus snapshot. The packaging is jar, which means once we compile the application, we will be getting a .jar extension file. It has dependencies that the application needs in order to run. We don't need to worry about these. And in the end, we have profiles, and the default one actually sets a property called server.port, which means the process, when it will run, the Java process will start listening on port 8080 as declared in here. Now, in order to compile the application, we will need to run a certain set of commands in the same folder next to the pom.xml, but we'll do that later. And the second file I was talking about, which is important, you can find it in source, main, and then resources. And it's an application.yaml or application.properties file, which actually gives us configuration for the application. Now, the funny thing here is, if you've downloaded this from GitHub, you will see here you have this information, right? So the URL, the username and password for MySQL server aren't actually in here because I don't want you guys to know that information for my MySQL server. But Spring Boot does a fantastic job at consuming properties. And one place you can actually consume properties from is environment variables. So as you can see here, I actually declared Spring data source URL, username and password under this format right here. And when the application starts on my computer, it will actually pick up this information, and that means I don't need to declare it here in writing for you guys to see. And you can try this trick as well, or you can just download the project and hard code the information in here because it's your own computer, nobody's gonna care about it, right? But because this is my Git repository, I'm going to need to make changes as we go through the project and push it back, so I don't want to commit my password in there, right? Well, that being said, let's go at the next step and start compiling the application and see how this looks. Now let's compile this backend, shall we? So as I mentioned, we need to be in the same folder as the pom.xml file, and I'm going to bring up a new terminal, and as you can see, we are in the CartAPI folder. I'm just going to list so that you see we are next to the pom.xml. And in order for the compilation to be successful, we need two things, Maven and Java. Let's see them. So mvn minus version will show us the Maven version that I have installed, and there it is, Apache Maven 3.8.5. And Java minus version will tell us the Java version I have installed, and here it is. It's Java 8. I know it's misleading, but it's Java 8. Now I'm going to link these two resources under the video for you guys to download, install, and be able to use to copy what I'm doing here. But now it's time to compile the application. So in order to compile the application, we will call Maven, and I want to call the clean and install lifecycle stages. And let's see what happens. Yeah, that was fast. And here we have build success. Yeah, everything looks great. And now a new folder appeared, the target folder. And inside of it, as you can see, we have cart -1.0 snapshot.jar. So if we open the pom.xml file one more time, there it is, yeah, the artifact ID and the version ID and the packaging jar. Okay, so this is our actual application compiled, and we can actually run it. So let me just show you how. If I do java -jar and then I enter the target folder and the cart jar and I run it, yeah, here we have the application starting. Okay, it connected to the database, and the final information is here. Yeah, cart started in 13.5 seconds. And if I was to open my browser and do a local host on port 8080 /cart, because that's the endpoint the API is serving, here we have it. Yeah, oops, functionality under development, please order by mail. This is all that CartAPI does. As I said, not an amazing application that will win a development contest, but it's something that we can use in order to understand this compilation process and all the other processes that will come afterwards. So if you're curious, you can apply the same set of commands and the same lifecycle on top of ProductAPI. That one will be /product instead of /cart, and will always start on port 8080 as well. So be careful with this. If you're trying to start both of them at the same time, keep this in mind. You need to change the port for one of them, because you can't have two applications listening on the same port at the same time. I hope you enjoyed compiling the backend application. You can take the same learning and apply it on the other one, on ProductAPI, and just try to work with them, try to understand the process and what compiling an application actually means, and you'll become a better engineer in no time. You will understand the process and you will be able to automate it in the future. Now, thank you very much for your time, and I'll see you on the next video where we're going to tackle the front-end application. Have a good day. Cheers.